All right, guys, this is the next part. We had told you we're going to do another part to this. We had our two lead angels that we saw in the fallen angels in the time of Genesis chapter 6. We covered Azazel in part 1. He was the behemoth guy. And then in this one, we're talking about the other creature, dinosaur type thing from the sea called Leviathan. Now, what we're going to see in this is that we're going to see that there's a connection between all of these. That fallen angel, okay, he then becomes a beast who is Leviathan, and he's the angel of the abyss that leads the locusts. So what it was, guys, is Yaza or Samyaza, a couple different spellings. He led 200 angels, okay, to make an oath to leave their place in heaven and go and have children with the daughters of men. And we see Samyaza will be the scarlet colored beast. He will be the Antichrist. And then this other one, he leads the locusts. And also in leading the locusts, he is also leading like Armageddon and the apocalyptic events in the fifth trumpet, okay, and then continuing to Armageddon. Okay, so these angels, guys, they have not been in the earth going forth to and fro. That's different. That's Satan, okay, he had before the throne. But then we get these guys, they've been imprisoned all this time, okay? They've been imprisoned into the end of days. Then they're released, and then when they're released, they're destroyed, and then they're cast into the lake of fire, okay? So in this one, what we're going to do is we're going to look at these key names, Abaddon, Apollyon, of this angel of the abyss, and we're going to see that this is Samyaza, and this is the lead angel that led the 200 watcher angels in the book of Enoch, and it is also going to be associating those locusts in the fifth trumpet. Those locusts is going to be associated with Leviathan. So what does it mean? All these are one. It's one entity. It's bound up. It has different kind of representations of it, but it's basically the same thing with all these different names. And it's the elements of this character is also Gog. Okay, Gog is the king of the locusts. We're also going to see. So I hope you like the book of Revelation. I hope you like studying the apocalypse. This is very exciting. Been studying this for years and years, guys. I think I could safely say 12 years doing this full time. And these great mysteries are very, very exciting as we have more tools available to us, especially the Septuagint. Septuagint allows us to analyze, study, take word for word what we see in English, in the Greek translation, what that Greek word is. Take that word that you see in the New Testament and directly link it up with exactly what you see in the Old Testament passages. A phenomenal resource for us in the end of days, guys. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into the notes. Very exciting. We hope to follow this up with another one dealing with the 10 kings, but the notes will be available as a Google Drive. It's going to be a link in the description field, say notes, Google Drive, and then you can get into the notes because we're not going to read the whole notes. Some of it's just there to cross-reference. You want to dig in a little deeper, be sure to do so. But always, guys, don't ever take anyone's word for whatever they said. Oh, this, that. You have to look at the scriptures. What do the scriptures say? Don't believe me. Don't believe anyone teaching unless you see that those things are so. Dig into it. Look at it yourself, okay? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take the scriptures. We're going to look at it. The book of Enoch going to be key for us in these end of days to understand who these entities that were bound up in the abyss and then they're released in the end of times. Okay, here's our notes, and what we're looking at is possibly what this type of creature was, as some type of sea dinosaur, plesiosaur, something like this. I don't really know. But I thought this was the closest rendering of a Leviathan type creature. So here we can see Samyaza or Samyaza. Either way, we are excited to share this with you, in that the mystery of the angel of the abyss. Okay, so that the angel was a watcher, and as a watcher, they went unto the daughters of men, and then they're described as changing their forms. Enoch says that they changed into all kinds of forms and creatures, and in this case, we had Azazel turn into Behemoth. In this one, we have Samyaza turning into Leviathan. And this guy, Leviathan, is the king of the locusts, the angel of the abyss, called in the Hebrew tongue Abaddon, and in the Greek tongue Apollyon. So that's why we're showing you this here as a thumbnail of something like this. It's something you definitely need to read the whole chapter of Job 41 for yourself. There's a whole lot more going on than that creature for sure. Okay. Last time we discussed the scarlet colored beast of Revelation 17, which ascends from the abyss as the fallen angel Azazel. So he was bound in there in prison 5 millennia. In this message, we look at the other leader, Samyaza, as the angel of the abyss in Revelation 9:11. And they, the locusts, had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, or the abyss, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue, his name is Apollyon. In the last video, found another confirmation on this view that since creation, or since time of Adam, that these angels will be bound up, and then that they will be released after 6,000 years. In the book of Giants, okay, it's another account of the events of Genesis 6, and it says that they are bound for 120. And if we look at 120, it doesn't say years, it just says they are bound for 120. So if we look at those as jubilees, we have 120 jubilees times 50 is equal to 6,000 years. And again, we believe that's the 6,000 years from Adam until the end of days, our present time. Okay, Abaddon and Apollyon. Now, the thing that we're getting at here is this is going to take some close study, and it's, you'll have to focus a little bit, pay attention to this. Don't just do something else and have this running in the background. This is deep. Okay, it's studying. It's studying the scriptures. It's looking at the languages. And so the reason we do that is that's what we believe the Apostle John is telling us to do. He says that the name, okay, of this entity, the angel of the abyss, the name is in Hebrew and in Greek. So what that means to us is that it's in the Old Testament. And we have to look at the text in Hebrew and in Greek. And what we hope to do is find some passage that tells us who this is and what is going on here. So Abaddon is defined in certain definitions, the name of the angel, prince of the infernal regions, the minister of death, the author of havoc in the earth, or chaos. He's in chaos. And when we look at Revelation 9:11, we see two names in two languages, which we'd expect to find both of those words in a certain passage in the Old Testament. Okay, so that his name, we look for this name in the scriptures. It's going to be in the Bible. Well, which one? Hebrew and Greek. And so we have to research these languages in order to find out, who is this? What's going on? All right? And so in order to find the Greek Old Testament, we have tools now where we can search and we can use them to find words that are in the New Testament and words that are in the Old Testament. All right. There's a lexicon called Brown Driver Briggs Lexicon, and it says the Hebrew Abaddon is a Semitic form of the Hebrew word Abad, meaning to perish or destroy. And this occurs 184 times. It's a common word. And sometimes the Septuagint, the early Greek translation of the Hebrew into Greek, renders the word Abaddon into Apollyon. Now, don't let that word scare you, but it's that word, Apollyon, okay, renders itself to Apollyon, okay, to destroy, or the Apollyon, destroyer, which is an active particle of apollomi, to destroy. So, when looking at another passage that includes both Abaddon and Apollyon, we see Hebrew Abaddon is the Strong's Concordance H11, means destruction, perishing, it's underworld, Hades, place of destruction, ruin, Abaddon. It appears only 6 times in the Old Testament, in its true spelled out version, Abaddon, okay? And 3 of those 6 times is in Job. And one of those is Job 28, verse 22. And in Hebrew, it says Abaddon. And in Greek, it's Apollyon. Okay, so that's an example. That's the type of example we're looking for. And we do find Abaddon and Apollyon used in Job 41. Okay, in the Septuagint interpretation of an interesting word in Hebrew, de abaha, okay, which means fear or sorrow. So, follow this. The rabbis were taking the Hebrew text and translating it into Greek for the rest of the world to understand. It's kind of like the Protestant Reformation when they took the Bible and they interpreted it into English. Oh, a common person could read it now. That's what was happening a few centuries before Christ. The whole world is speaking Greek, and they translated the Old Testament into Greek. Now, when they came across this word in Hebrew, de abaha, these rabbis looked at it and said, it means destruction. Okay, because remember, our root word, abad, this word is similar, but it has a dalet in front of it. Thus, when translating this into Greek, these scholars looked at the meaning of the word as destruction, and they interpreted the word as Apollyon, or in another rendering or form, Apollyon. So again, they looked at it, this word here, in Hebrew, and they looked at it not as meaning sorrow, but destruction. It's important because this is leading us to the fact that here in this text, we get a description of somebody. Okay, we looked at Job 28 there. We had another one, that was Abaddon, that was Apollyon, but it doesn't say anything about him. It just says it's a place, and it's not hidden before the Almighty. So here we have these rabbis saying this word is Abaddon, and we're going to translate that into Apollyon. All right. So the text, when we read it translated into English, that it's coming from is this: in his neck lodges power, destruction runs before him. Again, destruction is Apollyon, and another rendering of that word is Apollyon. So that we do have an entity associated with Abaddon and with Apollyon here in Job chapter 41. The whole chapter of Job 41 is talking about Leviathan. That's the point here that we're making. That we have both Abaddon and Apollyon in the same text. It is Leviathan. And I encourage you to read the whole thing. Guys, open your Bible, read Job 41. It is very, very interesting. Some of you probably don't even know the Bible talks about dinosaurs. Yes, it does. Okay. Leviathan. Leviathan. Chapter 41. This creature. He's a sea dinosaur. Or dragon in Greek. Now this contrasts to the land-based dinosaur behemoth that's in the previous chapter. So this Leviathan, this ends up being our angel of the abyss, the king of the locusts. Because it says that this Leviathan, the last verse said he is king over all the children of pride. That's just like the locusts had a king over them. In Job 41, verse 31. The abyss, remember he was the angel of the abyss. The abyss breaks out as a brazen cauldron or furnace. Now this refers to the holding place of the locusts. And the angel that had the key to the abyss opened the well of the abyss, and there rose smoke as a great furnace, and locusts came out of the smoke. That's the fifth trumpet. So we see that the abyss is associated with Leviathan. And he was detained in the abyss in a section called Tartarus. In 2 Peter, he talks about this. For the angels, if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down into Tartarus, to be deliver them into the chains of darkness to be reserved unto the judgment. So Peter and Jude are talking about the fallen angels of the book of Enoch. And the Septuagint makes use of the word Tartarus in Job 41:32 as a part of the abyss that Leviathan was captive in. Very interesting. And the infernal region, which is what it says in English, infernal region, but in Greek it is Tartarus. Okay, the Tartarus of the abyss is as if captive. He considers the abyss for a promenade. So what this is telling us is very amazing, in that in this the language that Job is using, and that's translated into Greek, it's saying that this Leviathan is in part of Tartarus, or the underworld, okay, the infernal region, but it's the same exact place where the angels were detained. That's what Peter says, and that's what the book of Enoch says. So that we're drawing this comparison with this creature, this beast. Remember, because in the book of Revelation, everything is beast. The beast, the scarlet beast, the beast that come from the sea, the beast on the land, the beast that, was a lamb and it spoke as a dragon. So these are people, but they're being, depicted as beasts. Christ is depicted, he's a man, but he's depicted as the lamb with 7 eyes and 7 horns. All right. Who is this? He's Gog. It will also seem this character is Gog as the king of the locusts, because the Greek of Amos chapter 7 verse 1 says, "Thus says the Lord God, show me, behold, a breed of locusts coming in early morning, and behold, one grasshopper." One grasshopper was over the locusts. His name is Gog. the king, G-O-G, Gog. So Gog is king of the locusts. Just like the locusts had a king over them, which is the aim of the bottomless pit. As well, it says, can you draw out Leviathan with a hook? That's what it says in Job 41. This refers to Gog in Ezekiel 38:4. I will turn you, Gog, back. I will put hooks in your jaws. Additionally, Job also says, can you come to him with his double bridle? And the Greek of Ezekiel says, I'll put a bridle in your jaws. So what does that mean? That means this expression about this hook is what we see with Gog. And we're drawing a connection with Gog in Leviathan. And a drawing connection with Gog and the king of the locusts. It's all the same. He's got more names than anybody. King of the locusts. Okay. Revelation 9:11 calls the angel of the abyss the king over the locusts. We see this expression in Proverbs chapter 30 verse 27. The locusts have a nothing king, yet they all go forth in bands. And we talked about earlier how Leviathan is king over all the children of pride. All right. Now, next part of our study is taking a analysis, and we are just looking at the locusts. So Revelation 9, we just look at those words and we search them, and what we do is we find a cross-reference of those words in Job 41. What this does is this shows us a clear connection. We get the descriptions and details that Apostle John has given us of the locusts, and we get those descriptions being agreed upon in Job 41. And so this is how the Holy Spirit encodes the scriptures with keywords. We don't have the time. In this one, we have other videos. There's a whole playlist actually called The Locust Army, where we go over these keywords and what they mean. Because there are other types of fallen angels that are represented through these locusts. But there were 200 that did the oath with Samyaza. But let's look at our keywords here, and we'll see that, yes, these locusts is drawing a clear connection to what we see with Leviathan. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you're interested, the notes will be available to you, and you can dig in deeper. But what we're just saying is we have all these keywords. This is not coincidence. This is how the Holy Spirit coded it, and it's being uncoded, and this is how we can make sense of the fact that these locusts have this king, and this king is Leviathan. Smoke and burning. Okay, we get smoke and burning. So it says of Leviathan, for out of his nostrils comes smoke as a furnace, burning as coals of fire. The locusts, they should not touch the grass, and he esteems a slinger indeed of grass. See, the locusts, they cannot touch the ones that the seal of God upon their forehead. Job, his scales are his pride, is shut up together as a close seal. A seal, a signet in the Hebrew. Gold, they had golden crowns on the locusts. And all the gold of the sea is under him as mud. Very interesting. Teeth, they had the teeth of lions, the locusts. Round about his teeth is fear, Leviathan. Their teeth is the teeth of lions, okay, keyword. The children of pride could also mean the children of the lion, or haughtiness, pride. They have the locust got a breastplate of iron. They had a breastplate of iron, okay. And we can also see nothing in the way shall terrify by spear or chest plate, breastplate, for he esteems iron breastplate. So the locust got an iron breastplate, so is Leviathan. Tail, they have tails like scorpions. Everything afloat together, and no way shall hide one from tail. War, locust being prepared for war, the sound of running to war. But you shall not place a hand on him, remembering the war taking place in his body. Leviathan. Sting. The locust got a sting like it to scorpions and stings, related to pierce. In no way shall the bow of brass pierce him. All right, so there we got clearly multiple words, multiple keywords that's dealing with talking about the locust and talking about Leviathan, showing us a clear connection between the two, and so that the leader is Leviathan. And remember, Leviathan is a fallen watcher angel. And so he's got some of the characteristics of the sons of Elohim, the sons of God. Like Lucifer. His eyes are as the appearance of the morning star. His eyes are as the morning star. And they associate another word, cymbals, like a musical instrument. Okay? Can you fill his skin with barbed iron or his head with fish spears? Now the spears here in the Hebrew is salasal, which is cymbals. And remember the anointed cherub, he had a tambourine as part of his body. So the tambouриne's got little cymbals in it. So guys, amazing parallels there. Now let's read about Samyaza in the book of Enoch. Let's read exactly what it says. It says more than this, but this is just a short snippet. And the angels and the children of heaven saw and lusted after them, and saw one another, and let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Samyaza, who was their leader. Okay, he's the leader of this idea. So this is real, guys. This happened. Angels lusted after mankind and decided to have children. That's the serpent seed. That's the promise. That's what Mosai said. The serpent seed in Genesis 3. Then swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were all 200 watcher angels, who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. Samyaza taught enchantments and root cuttings. Samyaza, to whom you have given authority to bear rule over his associates. And they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have bore giants. And the Lord said to Michael, go bind Samyaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women, so as to defile themselves in all their uncleanness, and with their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones. Bind them fast 70 generations in the valleys of the earth till the day of their judgment, in their consummation. So the judgment is forever and ever. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire. So they're released. Okay, they're released in the Antichrist, the scarlet colored beast, and they're released as the Apollyon and Abaddon in the locust army. Okay, they're released, and then they're going to the lake of fire. Okay, they go into the lake of fire at Armageddon when Christ defeats them. Okay, Leviathan. Let's look at what the book of Enoch says about Leviathan. We had this verse previously when we looked at Behemoth, but read it again. On that day, two great monsters were separated. The female monster named Leviathan to dwell in the depths of the ocean over the springs of the water. The male's named Behemoth, with his check, occupies the desolate wilderness of Dudain, east of the garden where the chosen and righteous dwell, where my grandfather was taken up, the seventh from Adam, the first man whom the Lord Spirit created. I pleaded with the other angel to show me the power of these monsters and how they were separated on one day and thrown, one in the depths of the sea, the other in the dry places in the earth. All right, so they were, he's, seeing these types of creatures, and these creatures are actually representative of the fallen angels, Azazel with Behemoth, and Samyaza with Leviathan. All right, Leviathan also exhibits the armor of God. We see the whole armor of God in the Gog-Magog war with the horses and horsemen, all sorts of armor. The buckler, shields, swords, shields, a helmet, and these words also associated with Leviathan. His sides were as shields of brass. The sword of him layeth at him cannot hold. Lances and spears and a chest plate, which we had looked at, and the bow of brass cannot pierce him. So that the Leviathan creature is the locust, and the locust is leading the world to Armageddon. Okay, so what do we learn? Well, we can see about Samyaza in the book of Enoch. He's a fallen angel, and he's Leviathan. He's Leviathan, and Leviathan leads the locusts. This is also Gog. We got elements of the Gog-Magog war happening. This is Leviathan, and we could see that his name is Abaddon and Apollyon, and we find that also associated with Abaddon in Job chapter 41, verse 22. So, Samyaza, Leviathan. Samyaza, Leviathan. So, it's deep, guys. That's why I make the notes available to you. Blessings to all of you that go to the notes. The notes will be linked to Google Drive in the description field of the video. It's also good to check out the video from last week if you can. I'm trying to make these short and try and put years and years of research into all of this. That's why the format that we're doing here, where I'm doing the notes, typing everything out, going through it. You can read it, you can see. I think it's a better format when we start doing real intricate and deep studies like this. So guys, thanks for watching. As we say, we hope to get to more on this. We do believe that these are 2 of the 10 kings. And so we hope to discuss 10 kings soon as well. Okay, when the 7th angel poured out his vial into the heaven, there came a voice from the temple and from the throne saying, "It is done."